Nothing happens by chance. If this message has reached you, it's because there's something much bigger going on in your life. You have been guided to this moment because you carry a special calling, a mission that sets you apart from the majority. Among the chosen, there are those who have physical signs of their connection with the divine, the marks of the crescent moon, or the letter M on their hands. These marks are not mere coincidences, but symbols of a spiritual lineage that carries a sacred responsibility. If you feel that you have always been different, that your life has never followed the easy path, that doors seem to close before they opened, know that this is part of your purpose. God never chooses those who are already prepared. He prepares those He chooses. What you have faced so far has been a silent training, a preparation for something great. Today, you will discover the power that is already within you and how to activate it. It is not common knowledge, but a revelation destined only for those who have been called. And if you feel this truth echoing in your spirit, then you're ready for the next step. Now, write 99 in the comments to affirm to the universe that you accept this mission. If you're not already subscribed, do so now and turn on notifications, as there are messages that have been prepared for your journey and cannot be missed. Open your mind and your spirit, because what you're about to discover could change everything. Since the beginning of time, God has marked out certain men and women for a greater purpose. These chosen ones are not ordinary. They carry within them a divine spark, an energy that sets them apart from everyone around them. But this journey has never been easy. While many travel along paths without major obstacles, the chosen ones face constant challenges, intense trials, and seemingly endless moments of loneliness. Have you ever wondered why your life seems more difficult than other people's? Why do you feel that even when everything seems to be going well, a new obstacle soon appears? The answer is simple. You weren't called to an ordinary life. You were shaped for something great. Moses was prepared in the desert. Joseph was betrayed, sold into slavery, and imprisoned before fulfilling his destiny. David had to face giants and persecution before becoming king. All the chosen ones go through intense preparation, because God only gives power to those who are ready to support Him. The challenges you have faced so far have not been punishments, but training. Every pain, every loss, every moment of despair was a lesson given directly by the Creator. God does not entrust His glory to those who are not prepared to carry it. He does not allow those who have not yet matured spiritually to take on a leadership role in the spiritual world. You may have felt that you were alone on this journey, but know that this feeling is part of the process. Those who carry great purposes are separated, removed from environments that don't contribute to their growth, and often have to walk lonely paths before being elevated to their true destiny. If you identified with this message, it's because God has something powerful in store for you. Now, the question is, are you ready to face what comes next? If you feel constantly tested, if the challenges seem never-ending, and if the wait for God's promises seems too long, know that this is not a punishment. On the contrary, it is one of the clearest signs that you are being prepared for something much greater. The chosen are forged in patience. While many receive their blessings quickly, those who carry a special calling must pass the test of time. Why? Because true faith is not built in easy times. It is strengthened in uncertainty, in God's silence, in those periods when it seems that nothing is happening. Joseph waited years for his vision to be fulfilled. Moses spent 4 decades in the desert before leading his people. David was anointed king, but had to wait and fight before sitting on the throne. And Jesus himself spent 30 years preparing before beginning his ministry. Waiting shapes obedience. It teaches discipline, resilience, and above all, trust in God. What you want is not being denied, but prepared for. God's time is not our time, and what seems like a delay is actually a process of refinement. Furthermore, the greater the purpose, the greater the trials. If your journey has been full of challenges and obstacles, this is a sign that God is investing heavily in you. He doesn't allow you to arrive at your destination unprepared. Each day of struggle is an extra layer of strength that you need to carry to fulfill your mission. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is, are you ready to trust the process, even when you don't understand why? In the next topic, we'll explore the spiritual attacks that the chosen ones face, and how to overcome these battles with the strength that comes from on high. The chosen not only face life's natural difficulties, but also invisible battles that many don't even realize. From the moment your calling was recognized in the spiritual world, opposing forces rose up against you, trying to stop your mission. These attacks can manifest themselves in various ways. Doubts that come out of nowhere, obstacles that appear when you are about to move forward, people who were once trusted turning against you without explanation, feelings of extreme tiredness or discouragement for no apparent reason. These are strategies used to divert your attention and weaken your resolve. But there is a fundamental truth that you need to understand. If the enemy is attacking, it is because you represent a threat. No force can move against something that has no power. If you feel that your life has been marked by intense struggles, it means that your mission is too great to ignore. And this is where the presence of Archangel Michael becomes essential. As the leader of the heavenly forces, Michael is the great spiritual warrior sent by God to protect those who walk in divine purpose. He is mentioned in the scriptures as the one who fights against darkness and defends the chosen ones in the most difficult times. Michael acts in various ways. He reinforces your spiritual strength when you feel you can't go on any longer. He opens up paths where there seem to be no way out. He unmasks those who try to deceive or harm you. He strengthens your faith so that you don't fall into the traps of doubt and fear. But for Michael to work fully in your life, you need to be in tune with his mission. You can't afford to waver. The chosen ones who recognize their position in God's army are protected in a supernatural way because they are fulfilling a purpose that goes beyond human understanding. So when you feel like you're being attacked, remember, it's not a sign that God has abandoned you, but rather a reminder that your struggle has a much greater significance than you realize. Not every chosen one walks without stumbling blocks. The truth is that at some point, most will face moments of weakness, doubts, and even deviations from the path. But failure doesn't mean that the mission is over. The chosen ones carry a great responsibility, which is why the enemy invests heavily in diverting them. Some of the most common traps are spiritual exhaustion, the distractions of the world, and temptations that seem harmless, but undermine their connection with God. Many end up distancing themselves without realizing it. Small concessions that seem harmless begin to open the door to a greater distance. Sometimes, the weight of the mission seems too great, and the person feels like giving up. But here's the truth that few understand. God doesn't choose the perfect. He chooses the willing. If you feel that you have failed, that you have strayed from the path, or that you no longer have the strength to continue, know this: God has never revoked your call. Your mission is still standing, waiting for you to get back on your feet. But how do you get back on your feet? First, you have to recognize that you have fallen away. It doesn't matter if it was a small fall or a major deviation. Admitting that something needs to be corrected is the first step. Then, sincerely turn to God. He doesn't reject those who repent and want to start again. Another fundamental point is to understand that your journey doesn't have to be a lonely one. Often, when a chosen one fails, the enemy tries to convince them that they are alone, that no one would understand or accept their struggle. This is not true. God's spiritual army is full of warriors who have been through difficult times and got back on their feet. Archangel Michael and the spiritual forces are still by your side. What determines your return to purpose is not how long you have been away, but the decision to resume your mission. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen. What matters is how many times you decide to get up. If God didn't have another plan for you, this message wouldn't have made it this far. There is still time. There is still a purpose waiting to be fulfilled. There is still a calling on your life. Now that you understand the importance of standing firm, even after failures, let's move on to the conclusion. Have you ever felt that you're stuck in a cycle of difficulties that seem to have no end? That every time you take a step forward, something happens to push you back? Perhaps you've wondered why, even though you try so hard, the answers you're looking for take so long to arrive. These moments of uncertainty, struggle, and even divine silence are actually spiritual tests. And every chosen one needs to go through them in order to fulfill their mission. The tests don't come to destroy you, but to shape you. Every trial has a purpose, and if you are facing intense difficulties, it is a clear sign that God is preparing you for something much greater than you can imagine. The first sign that you are being tested is a sense of isolation. You may feel that no one understands you, that you are alone on your journey, and that even close people seem to distance themselves. This happens because God separates those who have a special calling. Moses spent years in the desert before leading his people. Joseph was rejected by his own brothers before becoming governor of Egypt. David faced persecution before sitting on the throne. This isolation is not a punishment, but a training. When everything and everyone seems to move away, it's because God is calling you closer to Him. Another sign that you are being tested is closed doors. You try, you struggle, you make an effort, but nothing seems to work. What many people don't realize is that a closed door is not a definitive no, but divine protection. God sees what you don't see. He knows the enemy's plans against your life and often prevents you from going down a path that could divert you from your mission. When something doesn't turn out the way you expected, instead of despairing, ask yourself, what is God trying to teach me? Furthermore, a great test that the chosen face is doubt. The enemy knows that he can't snatch away the calling that God has placed in you, but he will try to make you doubt it. Doubt comes disguised as fear, insecurity, and even tiredness. You may begin to question whether you have really been called, whether you have the strength to continue, or whether all the promises you have received will ever come true. But remember, God is not a man to lie. What He has promised, He will fulfill. If you are facing intense trials, know that it is because there is something much greater waiting for you. You wouldn't be being tested if there wasn't something great brewing. The chosen are not forged in ease, but in fire. Every battle you face is honing your faith, your character, and your spiritual stamina. Now, the big question: how do you overcome these tests? First, you need to change your perspective. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? When you understand that every struggle has a purpose, the weight of the trial becomes lighter. Secondly, strengthen your communion with God. The enemy will try to weaken you spiritually by drawing you away from prayer and the Word. But it is precisely at these times that you must go even deeper. Prayer is not just a cry for help, but a powerful weapon that sustains your faith and gives you spiritual clarity. Thirdly, be patient. No preparation is instantaneous. God's time is not our time. But one thing is certain, He is never late. The waiting period is not wasted time, but a period of growth. Finally, trust. If God has allowed you to go through this, it is because He has already seen you victorious on the other side. No battle lasts forever. No storm is eternal. If you stand firm, persevere, and don't give up, you'll see that each test you overcome is actually a stepping stone that takes you closer to the mission God has prepared for you. If you feel you are being tested, know that it is because God is preparing something extraordinary for your life. What you experience today does not define your destiny. Your calling is greater than any obstacle. You are a chosen one, and nothing can stop God's plan from being fulfilled in your life. Now that you understand the tests that the chosen face and how to overcome them, let's move on to the next essential point of this journey: the importance of spiritual protection and how to strengthen yourself. If you are a chosen one, you need to understand that your journey will not be easy. From the moment you were set apart to fulfill your mission, the enemy has been trying to hinder your progress. Spiritual attacks are not a possibility, they are a certainty. But the good news is that God never sends a warrior into battle without weapons. You already have everything you need to protect yourself and win. The first step to strengthening your spiritual protection is to recognize that this fight is not against people, but against invisible forces that try to divert you from your purpose. How many times have you felt unmotivated for no apparent reason? Or have you noticed that whenever you try to get closer to God, strange things happen? This is no coincidence. The spiritual world is real and in constant motion. The second step is to shield your mind. The enemy's most common attack doesn't come from outside, but from within. He tries to plant thoughts of doubt, fear, and insufficiency. When you believe that you're not capable, that you're not strong enough, or that you don't deserve God's promise, you're opening a gap for these thoughts to take you away from the right path. You need to reprogram your mind with divine truth. Instead of, I can't, declare, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Furthermore, one of the biggest mistakes a chosen one can make is to try to face this battle alone. God has given us spiritual tools, and prayer is one of the most powerful. Praying isn't just talking to God, it's connecting directly with Him and reinforcing His protection. Don't underestimate the power of daily prayer. The more you pray, the more sensitive you become to God's voice, and the stronger you become against spiritual attacks. Another way to strengthen yourself spiritually is through fasting. Fasting is not just a physical sacrifice, but a spiritual act of alignment with God. It drives away distractions, increases your spiritual clarity, and strengthens your resistance against negative influences. When combined with prayer, fasting makes you spiritually unshakable. In addition to prayer and fasting, reading the Word of God is essential. The Bible is not just a holy book, it is a spiritual sword. Whenever you read the word, you are arming yourself against attacks that might try to weaken your faith. There are answers on every page. If you want protection, immerse yourself in the scriptures, because they are your defense and your source of wisdom. Another crucial point is vigilance. Many spiritual attacks begin subtly. A distraction that takes you away from God's presence. A friendship that weakens your faith. Habits that seem harmless but distance you from your purpose. The enemy doesn't need a big door to enter, he uses small gaps. Be on your guard. Not everything that looks good is actually good for your journey. Finally, one of the greatest spiritual protections a chosen one can have is fellowship with other warriors of the faith. Don't walk alone. Surround yourself with people who are also seeking God, who strengthen your faith and help you stand firm. When the chosen unite, resistance against spiritual attacks becomes much stronger. Remember, the spiritual battle is not won with human strength, but with divine authority. You already have this authority within you. God has already equipped you with everything you need. Now it's up to you to use these weapons and protect yourself. Now that you know how to strengthen yourself spiritually, we need to address an essential point. What happens when a chosen one fails in mission and how to get back on track? If you've come this far, it's because something inside you has awakened. You know that your journey is not ordinary, that your life has a greater purpose, and that the challenges you face are part of the preparation for something great. Trials don't come to destroy you, but to strengthen you. Every obstacle overcome, every battle won, every moment of unwavering faith is shaping you to become exactly who God has called you to be. Remember, the chosen go through more intense processes because they carry higher missions. The world may not understand your journey, it may doubt your calling, but you know that there is something greater driving your path. Don't let fear, doubt, or spiritual attacks stop you from moving forward. You are not created to live in mediocrity, but to be a light, to transform realities, to fulfill a divine destiny. The decision is now in your hands. Will you hide or will you stand up? Will you allow challenges to paralyze you or will you use them as stepping stones to achieve your purpose? The time for hesitation is over. God is calling you now, and the only acceptable response is your action. If this message has resonated in your heart, declare it to the universe right now. Comment 99 in the comments to affirm that you are ready to accept your divine path. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do it now. Click on the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any revelations that could transform your life. This is just the beginning of your journey. See you in the next video.